Call me if you get lost.
Let's go ahead and get into it then. Peace. Secret House Against the World, Tokyo-based hip-hop album reviews.
Are we here? We live?
We live. Robinson Mega here. I usually do the introductions and stuffs. Please check us out. Hit the like and subscribe buttons. See, I don't know how to do YouTube type of promotion. I'm used to podcasting, and I don't really do that.
Right.
I always thought it was kind of corny, but then that's probably why, we don't have 100,000 listens.
See, I thought it was corny too. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, but check us out. I mean, Mega Late Show shit comes on this channel too. We don't got any big artists on video because the coronavirus. We haven't had anybody big in studio, but we've got some joints, man. Your favorite MCs, your favorite artists, and whatnot. Yeah, today we're going to go ahead and do an album review. Again, I'm Robinson Mega.
Kawasaki Pablo.
What the fuck? DJ L. Spade, man. Marcus L. Spade Johnson.
There we go. Yeah, and we're a bunch of guys who listen to a lot of different types of music and come from a lot of different types of places. And we're going to talk about this one album in particular, which is Tyler, the Creator's newest project. Call me if you get lost. It's an album, right? Not a mixtape. It's an album, right?
It's an album pretending to be a mixtape on a mixtape. That's an album. It's a mind trip.
There we go. Yeah, Call Me If You Get Lost, 16 tracks, 52 minutes. His newest work coming off the back of Igor, which came out in 2019? 2019.
2019.
And yeah, let's talk a little bit about Tyler before we get into it. I'm sure all of us are familiar with Tyler, the Creator. Yeah. I guess you could say I've been a fan of his for the greater part of the decade when he first started coming out, Odd Future. I'm a huge fan of Earl still to this day, and I like Tyler quite a bit.
Not an Earl fan, but however, I love what their whole camp is doing. And I'm a Tyler fanboy, so this album was right up my alley. Like, I love this album. This album was just like, yo, my childhood's coming back. We're back.
When I was like 18, 19, and it was like the Wolfgang, OFM, Monya FM, Ace the Creator, Kill People, Burn Shit, Fuck School era. Like that was my shit when I was 19, and I guess maybe it left a bitter taste in my mouth because I got a lot more politically engaged and, that kind of edgy, the homophobia and the killing women shit, didn't vibe with me in the same way it did. As a result, maybe now I'm a little, I was definitely walking around in t-shirts where we'd just written on them in Sharpie and written kill shit, fuck school, that kind of stuff. We were really vibing with that at the time. Skateboarding and all that stuff. So I'm a little embarrassed by that part of my past, and maybe that's why I don't listen to
But you was young.
That's why I don't listen to Tyler as much as I probably should. I should probably be a huge fan.
I haven't gone back to his older albums for quite a while, and I've always kind of cringed at some of the subject matter that both him and Earl had. I'm a huge fan of Earl now, but I liked Earl just fine when he was younger, but I really like who he's grown into. And the kind of direction that both of them went, Tyler and Earl, who are clearly the standout stars of the original Odd Future crew, it's interesting to see where they've gone. And with Tyler, I don't really care much for his rapping shit, but I did like the art that he put out with Flower Boy and also
Flower Boy,
dope.
Yeah.
I think that
Cherry Bomb, love that too.
The kind of growth that he's had musically, his production has gotten phenomenal. He's always been talented, but before it was right sample picks, right drums, but now he's got he incorporates live instrumentation, playing his own keys, and judging off of this, I guess let's get into the album. His approach to production, he's able to do virtually everything, right?
Yes.
He produced these tracks.
That's the beauty of this whole album, man. The production was solid for me.
And I feel like he's definitely really come into his own, as opposed to the 19-year-old doing his best Neptune's impression that you see in that really early Odd Future phase, and the Neptune's influence is still very, very strong, and Pharrell's on the record, and he raps about talking to Pharrell, and clearly that's In Search Of is the thing that made Tyler what he is, but he's really, really come into his own as an artist since then, and that's something I respect about this.
That's what really got me about this album, the evolution. Listen to his past projects and listen to this one. It's yo, dude, you are getting better, and I like what you have taken your production and your whole album. Aesthetically, mix-wise, everything on this album just hit for me. And then you threw in DJ Drama with the Gangsta Grills. Did it hurt y'all?
Call me to get lost.
It hurt me when I found out he was from Philly. Because I was dude, you're not from the South?
I feel like I've known that for like a long time.
Yeah, when I found that out, I was like, yo, you're not from ATL? Like, you carpetbagger? Anyway, but yeah, that gave me like goosebumps. Like, oh wow, drama on this whole album. It gave me the mixtape feel.
It definitely has a very mixtape feel, and I think that it's also like artistically, it's a step away from the trajectory that I thought he had. He's moving away from like rapidy rap hip hop shit, and this is very much like a return to rap in a way that like we had To Pimp a Butterfly, and then we had Damn, which was like a return to just like straight rap.
That's a good ass example. Like it definitely was like from Pimp a Butterfly to Damn, because I didn't like The Pimp a Butterfly, but then when Damn came out, I'm back,
To Pimp a
Kendrick.
Butterfly.
For what it's worth, Flower Boy is still my favorite.
I also prefer it over Igor and this.
Okay.
I think this is a good, I think this is a pretty good album. There's nothing on it that really like strikes me as being incredible though. I do like, I like a lot of this album is Tyler. It's like a character, right? It's like a rich guy who's also sad about girls, but he's also really dedicated to telling you how much he's glowed up. You know what I mean? It's like, this album is so much like opulence that is, devoid of old young Tyler. And it's very much about like him having an extra house or, Madison Square Garden and
like
you know
that.
what I mean, traveling. I don't dislike it, but it also is not something I really identify with, so I love speak
it
to me
because he's not faking. Like a lot of problem I have with hip hop now is that I know you're not what you say you are, and that kind of hits me. Which you got a right to rap about anything you want to rap about. However, like Tyler on this album addressing that, I'm not the same guy. Loved it.
I feel like that's only true if you only listen to mainstream artists. Like a lot of the cats I listen to is like they are who they say they are because they're not saying that they're anything crazy.
For example.
Fucking Pink Seafood that we just did.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like there's nothing on that where he's like, I got 1 million bands. You know what I mean? Like he
All right. I mean, okay, I guess. However, I don't even know what halftime Pink Seafood was talking about. But
also though, Tyler is someone who's always had an appreciation for opulence. Like, I mean, we even saw the last track on Wolf, which is almost 10 years ago now. That record came out like 8-9 years ago. And the last track on Wolf, I think it's Lone. Like that track has like, these like very lush strings. It's a very opulent sounding beat. And then, the way he's like dressed and presented himself and like done videos.
Fashion forward.
He loves
too.
talking about cars and, he's obviously like a gearhead. He loves his McLaren and his Rolls Royce. And, this kind of, he's calling himself Tyler Baudelaire now. And, that kind of character, this kind of very opulent thing is something I think he's always appreciated from like a camp, like aesthetic kind of level. The I Fucking Hate You video as well. I think that's on Wolf too, where it's like they're in like a dollhouse and he has this kind of plastic face. And I think it's always kind of been there.
One thing that always comes through to his music that I tend to enjoy is just kind of this unadulterated kind of I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm so down to hear that kind of that like free black joy, and I like that he has the ability to do the things that he wants to do and that he can talk about the things he wants. I love that he's gone from being this crazy like homophobic lyrics to lyrics about fucking trying to fuck Justin Bieber. I think that's great, and I think that is very progressive in that regard. But some of the other things just don't speak to me. I don't really care for his like ravenous, like
consumption.
And that's more or less like just when I'm listening to the lyrics, how much I appreciate it. But there's also a lot of lines in here. This is like, things that he's saying that it's like, oh yeah, I don't give a fuck either. Like that's dope to have that idea and that personality. But his also when I listen to Tyler's music, I always take into account who he is outside of the album and what the things that he's projecting. And like it's a weird thing to like try to back him and be like, it's cool that you got all this money when you're talking shit about like Amazon workers and people boycotting Amazon and shit. Like it's kind of gross to me. But I mean, musically, the album is very basic to me. There's a lot of samples that have been used. The first song was just used by West Side Gun, that first sample. Also, I heard Atmosphere use that same beat.
It was done differently though.
I mean, it's still.
Man, that's a beautiful sample, though.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Like it's done differently. Everybody gonna interpret a sample.
I'm just saying, like that's one of the things that makes this less of an artsy
but
album.
You can't
for
knock
him
him for that, though, man. You can't knock him for using the same sample everybody else.
No, I'm just saying, like it has a very mixtape vibe, and the mixtapes tend to have reuse samples and things, and that's the point. Not it's a good sample.
Even the nature of
all
the
three of those
release
songs
and
are
the
dope.
cover and everything. Like Tyler's definitely approaching that.
I thought you was knocking him for using
No,
the
no.
sample.
I mean, he used the Gravediggers sample too, which is one of my lumberjack sample, which I think might be the most listened to song on the album according to Spotify numbers.
Yes.
And that's a
It's the
straight
lead single.
that's a straight Gravediggers beat, and it's dope, and it has a very mixtape feel to me. It just doesn't have like that kind of artsy shit that he was doing to the last two albums, and
Sure.
I find the album to be kind of basic in that regard.
I think
There's a
that's-
few tracks that the production's really beautiful and flourishing to me, but most of this is just kind of mid for me.
I think that was the beauty of it, man. That you're able to go off of Igor and come make this song. Like y'all was just saying about the Pink Shifu, how he doesn't usually do that.
Right.
Then he tried to go to rap. I don't know like any of the past Shifu songs, but Tyler did this great.
Yeah.
The fact that you can come off Igor and make this album and not like skip a beat. Now the bars on here weren't just like lyrical, but however he's rapping. I'm like, yo, you know what? You actually spitting bars on here, and you get props for that. And I'm reluctant to say, oh my God, you're so brave. But like the way he's rapping and what he's rapping about is kind of
I
like
still think Lil Wayne got the best verse on the album.
that joke was
That Lil
hard.
Wayne verse, that Wayne verse is dope.
That joke
dog.
was hard.
I don't even like Lil Wayne that much, but sometimes he just fucking shines and
Yeah.
takes over a whole. The joint that he did
Yeah,
last year
something to prove.
off of Benny's album,
Yeah.
Hollywood Divorce, like oh my god, I've
something to
never
prove.
cared much for Wayne, especially all these things, but Wayne is fucking amazing sometimes, dog.
He had something to prove on this album. Like, yo, I'm still here.
I like Massa. I like Run It Up.
His
Like a
verse
lot
on
of
Cherry
these
Bomb
don't-
was good too.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
Like he-
indeed.
He's a good feature. Like you have Wayne on a feature, he's always going to try to outshine you on a feature.
But I also appreciate that there's a few features on here who are MCs that I don't normally listen to. Like, yeah, like
Lil
NBA
Uzi.
Youngboy on there,
Okay, you're right.
and I liked him on there. I know Odd Future fans are gonna give me shit for this, but like, even though
Domo?
everyone's like, yeah, Domo, like, you know, Domo's like low key like the best MC in the group or whatever. Like, I've never been that into Domo Genesis, but he's great on here. You know, Lil Uzi Vert is on here and he's good.
Yeah,
like,
that was a good song.
I
Levert.
think, you know, just across the board, like there's a lot of artists that I personally either didn't fuck with or were just kind of
But that
indifferent
speaks to a good producer, man. No one
I
who
was
fits on
concerned.
the damn beat. Like
He actually
I
makes-
can't- Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. He makes a lot of good. Like this is where this album works for me. Is
Mm-hmm.
because Tyler has grown as a producer more than he's grown as a person.
Facts.
You know what I mean? He's
Mm-hmm.
grown as a producer more than he's grown as a person. Even the artists who are not rappers, like the vocal artists that he incorporates into it, and some of the flourishes. Some of these, like two of these songs, sound like Flower Boy era joints. Which is the one?
Wiltshire is one of them.
Run It Up. Run It Up
Up.
sounds like a Flower Flower Boy era track, and they're really good. The songs that I don't really, I actually don't like Lemonhead all
I
that
love
much.
Lemonhead.
I thought you would. You Southernist horn stabs.
Yeah,
you know
like,
what I
hey,
mean?
this
But
joint go hard.
yeah, I actually don't care too much for Lemonhead. I like Lumberjack running all the way up to about Run It Up, and that's my favorite 4-track run on the album.
Yeah, that's a good
It's
run.
good.
But
It's
Yeah,
good.
Massa's a good track.
Master is a good track.
Yeah. Massa is the one where he gets kind of personal and open and starts talking about like how he's always been who he was and how now he has the ability, and the most important thing in his life is kind of that passport. And that's a freedom that I rock with. I like hearing him say that. I just don't really care to hear him say some of the other shit.
Just to go back to go ahead.
And this just reminds me a bit of the Code to the Friend record, and this is my personal thing. Like, I guess I just don't do hip hop positivity, like
Word.
like that. Like, you
Come
just
on,
get
man,
just
really?
get a passport,
So
you
you hate
open
Will
your
Smith?
horizons, you travel.
Well,
no,
it's
but Will
a
Smith isn't like
classist type of
yeah.
thing,
It's
too.
Will Smith is like. He's like a positive character. Like his whole character is like radiating positivity.
Yeah. Him and The
Whereas
Rock
like
and shit.
Tyler, you know, there's just like, just get a fucking passport, you dumb motherfucker. Just get a passport. You get to travel. You get to go all over
I
the
made it
place.
this far 'cause I was
made-
myself.
I got the McLaren. I got the, you know, and it's like, you know, and Code to the Friend, like the whole like, oh my, you know, my haters just don't
Coda is
understand me.
canceled.
I'm
We're not allowed to
positive.
talk
like,
about him
Oh,
anymore.
what? He's canceled.
Is he canceled?
Yeah, he got sexual assault allegations. I think.
Oh.
It was hearsay. There were no legal charges presented, I don't think. But yeah, a couple people came out and said he was not their friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
a couple women.
You
believe
lucky,
women.
Jet.
Yeah.
Believe
Coda got
women.
them hands
Fuck,
for you.
fuck that dude.
Coda gonna
Coda-
see you in the streets now.
Coda don't like that. Man.
Yeah.
Coda is not the
Coda's gonna
Tomodachi.
find you, bro.
Yeah.
And I've never really vibed with that kind of thing. Like, I feel like it's a very, like kind of middle class approach to you know, and I appreciate Tyler's not like faking like the struggle. Like he's not saying he was selling crack or anything like that. You know, he's been very earnest about who
Pretty
he
suburban
is.
black kid, yeah.
And you know, that's cool. But personally, like I've just never really vibed with that kind of thing.
Well, taking it back to production, once again, production is awesome. And speaking to his wisdom as a producer, he knew what artists to put on what beats. And I can't say enough about like, yo, your track listing, the flow of this album. I don't know if you picked the track listing, but whoever picked this track listing, all the songs seem to flow into each other and you don't miss a vibe. I fucking love that. The whole album was put together great. And that speaks to you as a producer, Tyler. You grew. Just wanted to put that out there before I forgot.
Shouts out to his
Production.
Yes.
I don't know. Like, I've always had kind of a contentious relationship with my feelings about Tyler. Like, there's parts of me that really do like that kind of punk aesthetic and the idea that he can do what he want to do. But lyrically, I didn't really care too much for a lot of what he had to say on this album. There's some pretty solid rapping, but
you can hear what he's saying. You couldn't even hear like what Pink Shifu was saying on some of the songs because the words got blended into the beat. At least we could hear what he was saying on this damn album. You may not agree with what he's saying.
Watch the Pink Shifu review if
yeah.
you haven't, because
I'll release that
Spade keeps
first.
bringing it up,
Yeah.
and if you haven't watched it, you know what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, at least I heard everything Tyler was saying on this album.
The thing is like I just don't care. Like I'm like people don't know because we don't talk about it on the show, but I'm very much left of a lot of this shit that he's talking
True.
about, and a lot of it just doesn't speak to me, and I don't really care to hear somebody talk about that they have a McLaren or, you know, all this money, multiple houses and passports, any more than I care to see Crazy Rich Asians.
I'm just
and
saying,
that's why
though,
I
at
don't
least
really
you
care
can
for it.
understand what he's saying and disagree with it. Like, some of these songs, like, look, the problem with modern day hip hop right now is you lose vocal content because the voice is damn near another instrument on top of the track. It's like, with this over
That's a
auto-tune.
big generalization.
It is, man, but I'm saying, like, a lot of these mixes,
I don't listen to auto-tune rappers.
I like death metal, man. I like
death metal too, but there's still a vocal aspect using it as an instrument. It's like you're missing words. The thing about rap is the words.
I'm not talking about the mix. I'm talking about specifically what he's talking about.
I know what I'm saying.
My
You disagree
dislike
with what
of
he's
the
talking about because you can hear the lyrics. That's my whole point. It's like once you lose the words,
That's not a
you have-
critique of the album, though. Like, I mean, I the lyrics are there. I understand that. I'm
Right.
talking directly about the lyrics, not in contrast to other artists who you can hear the lyrics. I'm talking about the content. If you can hear every lyric on Sky Zoo's last album, but
Okay.
he's saying different things.
All right, I get what
you
you're
know what
saying.
I
Okay.
mean?
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
like-
give
that.
Tyler this. On that track Wiltshire, where he's talking about like liking a girl and having this kind of secret under the table non-sexual relationship that's very emotionally heavy, while also she's like dating like a formerly close friend of his and all this stuff. Like, when I first listened to the album, I was just experiencing a very similar situation where I had very, very strong feelings towards
Relatable.
someone. Current girlfriend now. Fuck you, other dude. I won. But like
he won. I'll back him up.
the it's like recent. I say recent. Basically, every Tyler record I've listened to in my 20s hasn't really like spoken to my experience as like a British dude living in Japan, and as someone who doesn't have a McLaren and didn't come from the suburbs. But you know, in that moment, like, it hit and it worked for me, and it definitely like hit me in the right places. And I can totally see why, like, if you were listening to a Tyler record and, you know, you were just kind of in that mood, you were in that mind state, and that was just where you were at, you know, if like travel is something that's very important to you and you found that you've, you know, gained a lot and you found yourself through being able to see the world and being able to see outside of your own immediate bubble, this is a record that's going to hit for you.
Sure.
And I think even the title of the record, you know, Call Me If You Get Lost,
Yeah, I like
which
it.
shouts out to DJ Drama for getting it wrong like 80%
Multiple
of the time on the record.
He's like, call me if, like,
call me
send
when
me
you
a
get lost.
pin.
Yeah.
Call me if you don't make it.
I'll drop a pin if you can't figure it out.
Can you figure it out?
It's like, you know, it really relates to this idea of being like away
Yeah, I kind of like that.
and being like
Yeah.
distant.
I think he succeeds in everything he's trying to do with the album. I think it's a good album.
it's
Mostly
it's a
it's
successful
just
album
like
for
for
sure.
my own sensibilities. Like I'm not gonna like diminish the rating on it just because I don't like what's happening, because I think it's a really well crafted album.
But
I
how would
personally
you
don't
rate
care.
it, my friend?
I would give this about a 7.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
I think it's well done. I think he talks about what he wants to talk about. The mix, the production choices, it's good. It's not as good as Igor or as good as Scumfuck Flower Boy, but this is a good project from Tyler, and I think that I'll give it a 7. Now,
I'm
whether
actually
I'll go
shocked.
back and listen to it many times is another thing. There's only about 4 tracks on here that I like that I would rate a 5 out of a 5.
That's a good
The
ratio.
others are like 3s, the others are like 4s, and there's very few 2s and no 1s. I like most of this album. It's just that, like, you know, I don't go to this. I wouldn't go to this album for any particular reason other than, you know, it's like, oh, let me go back and check out that Tyler album.
Jet, what would you give this album, man? 'Cause I'm kind of
I don't want to give it a
intrigued now.
numerical score because I'm scared of Tyler's fans. You people scare
7's
me.
fair, right?
I'm going to say that it is better than Goblin. It is better than Wolf.
Oh yeah.
I think it is about as good as Igor.
Cherry Bomb.
sound like you're saying
It's-
7 to me.
I like Cherry Bomb. I have
Cherry
a
Bomb's
real
dope.
soft spot for Cherry Bomb because Cherry Bomb was something that just like got released. Like the mix is kind of crude. Like everyone's just rapping on it. It's got some great features. You know, like I have a personal soft spot for Cherry Bomb. If I was trying to be quote unquote objective about it, I would say it is definitely a better album than Cherry Bomb. I like Cherry Bomb more, but it's I mean it hasn't topped Flower Boy for me.
That's his magnum opus.
yeah,
in
it's
my
not
opinion.
going.
I
Nothing's
think-
going to top Flower Boy.
But yeah, no, I think it's a pretty good record. I liked it.
Sound like you're saying 7 to me.
He doesn't want to assign a value to it. That's fine.
It's basically, I'm gonna say, like, depending on how I'm feeling, it's anywhere from a 6 to an 8.
Okay.
Like,
It's fair.
ask me how I'm
think that
feeling
is
on the
fair.
day.
Yeah.
If I'm, you know, if I'm like listening to Griselda that day, and you ask me, oh, what do you think of the Tyler? It's probably a 6 to me.
Right.
I would not be like, I'd prefer to hear this in like as I was walking through a fucking Forever 21. Like, all right, this is better than the shit they usually play in there. It's contemporary, accessible, and it's also
That is so
very
perfect.
well put together.
If I'm at a
That's so
party
perfect.
and there's a bunch of girls and there's like candles and we're all chilling and like there's like nice food and
It's a
some nice
very-
drinks,
yeah.
like that's
Yeah,
a solid
this-
8
it's a
for
very
me. Like
basic
it's
album,
a
yeah.
good record. Like but yeah, I can't like I guess on average I have to give it a 7. Like the median,
Right, yeah,
the
it
median
sound like
there is a
7.
7.
Sound like a 7.
But I think I have enough negative feelings towards it and enough overwhelmingly positive feelings towards it at the same time that I am not satisfied with the 7. Like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's all right.
There's nothing super special about this album and its approach or execution
I would agree with that.
propels it into an 8, 9,
Yes.
or 10 level for
Sure.
me. I think 7 is about as high as I can go, period.
Let's go ahead and round this out because I'm gonna give it a 7 too. Like this is my first time agreeing with you guys.
All right.
This is like, yeah, I'm gonna give this a 7, and I totally agree with that. There's nothing about this album that can get into 8 or 9 land, but it's not bad. It's not like a 5 or a super average album. It's above average, but it ain't like Flower Boy. If
There you
I'm
go.
gonna like,
The first time
Get
that
it.
L Spade has ever been right. No, we have agreed in the past on things about albums, but this is the first time we
Yeah.
got a rating together.
yeah, 7. This is a strong 7.
Skype me if you go missing.
Drop a pin if you can't figure out the directions.
Fuck the alt-right.
There you go.
Finally, I agree with you guys. Seriously,
Everyone should agree on fuck the alt-right.
true.